Hey everyone, when you think about businesses that are killing it, like through e-commerce, I know a whole bunch, like Allbirds, the sneakers. You think about how many great products there are, cool brands, brilliant marketing, but often what is overlooked is the business behind the business. And that's why I love Shopify. For millions of businesses, Shopify is the business behind the business. It is the home of the number one checkout on the planet. I'm telling you, I use it all the time. I love it. And the not so secret with Shop Pay is that it boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales go. If you're into growing your business, if you have a business, if you have merch, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, anywhere. And that is where Shopify comes in, because businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. And I can attest to that as a buyer. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout as Allbirds. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/JudyGold, all lowercase. JUDYGOLD, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/JudyGold, all lowercase, to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/JudyGold. You're welcome. She needs to do a podcast since she never got her due. She's a big lesbian and a loudmouth Jew. With a gasket always ready to blow, you're listening to Judy's show. Who? Judy's show. Wait a minute, who are you talking about? Oh, she's an asshole. What is wrong with you? Oh, you suck. So long. Fuck off. Hey everyone, welcome to It's Judy's Show. I'm your host, Judy Gold, and today we have part 2 of my conversation with the one and only Stephanie Ruhle, who is such a badass. I love her so much. You are going to so enjoy part 2. How great was part 1? Seriously. She's the best. She is the best and so fucking smart and such a go-getter, and her stories are amazing. So happy to have her on. I'm actually going to be doing her show soon. Let's see, she does that nightcap show. On Friday, she does a nightcap, and it's just, guests, 3 guests, the whole show. And when am I scheduled for that? Oh, April 18th. Okay, so let me tell you about my dates coming up, because I really need to sell tickets and I need you people to come see me perform, which is a positive thing for you, okay? Because you're going to love it. So I'm at the DC Comedy Loft, March 27, 28, 29. Then I don't know how I'm going to get to Newark Airport at 7 a.m. on the 30th to go to Aruba, but I'm going to have to figure that out. And I'm in Aruba the 31st to the 4th. Then on the 6th, I am at Jewish Family Service, which is in Martinsville, New Jersey. I'm doing a show for them, which is a great organization. My mother used to volunteer with them. They're very pro-women, pro-choice, pro-great. Then I go to Miami on April 8th. Temple Beth Am, then Boca Raton on the 9th and 10th. Then it's Passover, so yeah. Anyway, and then I'm in Sellersville, Pennsylvania on the 19th of April. Pittsburgh City Winery, April 25th. Woo! Pittsburgh. I haven't been to, my family apparently came on my mother's father's side at some point lived in Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or something. So and I heard Pittsburgh is really cool. So get your tickets, Pittsburgh. Then I'm at Temple Bethel in Jersey City on the 26th. I got a lot going on coming up. Bedford, New York, May 1st, New York City, April 30th for the National Coalition Against Censorship. Boston, May 8th, City Winery. Boston. I am in Toronto on May 17. I'm in Elkins, Pennsylvania, May 18, and Jewish Federation of Philly on May 20th. So that's, St. Louis City Winery, May 29. Get your asses there. Very important. I haven't been to St. Louis in so long. I'm so excited. So anyway, that's it. That's what I got coming up. Also, I was at the ADL summit last week, the Anti-Defamation League summit, and God, it was so nice to be I was recognized by so many Jews. It was so nice. It was like, oh my God, I love you, and I saw this, and I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, that's so great. So yeah, we're an annoying group of people, but we're fun. You know, we're fun, we're smart. And we want to fight anti-Semitism. And I, it was fun also seeing so many people I see on Instagram and I follow on Instagram who are really speaking out against anti-Semitism, but also are fun, and doing fun things. And I met Huey Stonefish, and we hung out with him and his brother Avery, and Hallie, my assistant / marketer / I don't even know what she does. And we made so many funny videos because it's such a depressing topic, and we wanted to, lighten it up. So those are going to be coming out on my Instagram. But we asked the funniest questions, like, do you have a thyroid condition? Jewish stuff, and it was really fun, and kind of broke up the oh my God, everyone hates us situation. So that was great, and I learned some stuff. It's always good to have numbers and facts from whenever you speak to people. And the food was good. I thought the food, kosher, you never know. And it was really good. So, yeah, I must have had 95 cups of Javits coffee. Javits Java, they call it, from the Javits Center, Javits Java. I just was drinking coffee the entire time. So that was that. I watched the president's, I guess it's not called the State of the Union since he just started. I don't know what to say. I just don't even know what to say. The Democrats with their fucking ping pong paddles. What the fuck are you doing? You're not at an auction. What is that? That is... I'm going to hold this up. Look. As you know, and I've said before, it's very difficult. They're bullies. The way they behave is just awful. And, I felt like Trump is standing there, and yes, Trump is good for the hostages. Yes, 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 yes. Doesn't mean I have to fucking like him or his policies or the way he behaves. Sorry. The two white guys sitting behind him, J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson, it was like a bunch of schoolyard bullies. Like, Trump says some fucking nasty shit, and J.D. Vance is like, oh! It's so disgusting, their behavior. And you can defend him to, I don't know, what, where, or when, or whatever the fucking expression is, to the ends of the earth. He's a disgusting person. He's just an awful, horrible person. And if you're okay with what he's doing to Ukraine, then you're disgusting. I'm sorry. You're okay because he's, gonna, and yes, I want the hostages home. Oh boy. I want peace in that area. Yes, am a Zionist. Yes, yes, yes. But his behavior is disgusting, and their behavior is disgusting, and they're a bunch of bullies, and I'm a gay, and I'm many things, and I'm a woman, and I have nuance, okay? There's nuance. It's not like, okay, so he's as many Jews think, he's great for the Jews, So I'm going to ignore every fucking other thing. No, that's not me. Sorry. And poor Zelensky. I mean, what the fuck? That was like out of a fucking, like you can see the production sheets. Like, okay, you're going to walk in and then you're going to, JD says, how many times have you said thank you? And then just Trump don't say anything, let him talk. And then you join. I mean, you could see it on the production notes of a TV show. It's just disgusting. So you can, think I'm an asshole and how can you? And blah, blah, blah. I can, because I can. And also, what's going on at Columbia is awful. It's just awful for the students, the Jewish students. No one thinks about them, the Jewish students. I'm just so fucking sick of, explaining. How can you, because I can. That's how I can do it. Anyway, so that's that. And I got to tell you, being at the Javits Center, being around all these people who are concerned with anti-Semitism, and just, the Anti-Defamation League has been around for 113 years, and they fight all kinds of hate. I mean, now they're really focused on anti-Semitism since it's taking over the fucking world. But, we've been there. We've been there for everyone, and it's annoying. So that's that. And I don't know. I just, just enjoy the podcast with Stephanie. She's just fantastic. And it's going to make you feel so good just hearing her fucking hilarious stories. That's it. So come to my shows, please. Please. The City Winery, Boston, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh. Let's get those tickets going. All right. Anyway, just sit back right now. Sit back, relax, get on your treadmill, drive your car, whatever, go for your walk, and enjoy part 2 of my interview with the one and only Stephanie Ruhle.
Yeah. Okay, so you meet Andy.
So eventually, Andy, after he doesn't go to Star Wars with me, we keep running into each other, and one day I see him on the street, and he's like, hey, do you want to get a drink? And I'm like, sure, and we walk into this bar, and he starts telling me how much he loves Southern California punk music, and I don't know what that is, but I say I love it too. So I'm like literally on my hand writing down like Aphex Twin, Buzzcocks, like the names of all these bands. And he's like, amazing. Do you want to go to this thing called the Warped Tour with me? And I'm like, totally. Yeah, I want to go to that.
That's hilarious.
So our first date is at this hideous concert on Randall's Island. Like, again, I'm wearing a skirt. I'm wearing like an off-the-shoulder top. I got a pair of wedge heels on. And the whole place is like, you can get your face tattooed there. Right. You can get pierced. Like halfway through the day, he's like, you must really like me because you want to get the hell out of here. And I'm like, I do. So yeah, and I got married when I was 25. And,
wow, baby.
And I remember, he really loved music. And probably like 6 months in, yet again, he invited me to some horrible concert that I didn't want to go to. And I'm like, no, like, at the time, I'm like, I'm going to Sushi Samba tonight. Right? I'm like, I'm busy, right? So he goes to some concert by himself at Irving Plaza. I don't even know if Irving Plaza exists anymore. So I'm at Sushi Samba at like a work dinner, and like halfway through dinner, I have this moment of like, I'm in love with that guy, and he invited me to go see a band, and I didn't go. What was I thinking? I'm like, I have to leave, right? I leave dinner, and I show up at Irving Plaza, okay? And I was in work clothes, but still, I walk in, and the person like behind the glass is like, oh, we'll let you right in. And I immediately think, oh, they just let me in for free. Like, they must know that like my look, like the band must be into it, okay? I'm fully thinking I'm it, okay? I walk in, don't pay. They're like, wait. They bring me a security guard. And I'm like, whoa, right? Security guard takes me upstairs. I'm like, they are taking me to a VIP section. I'm like, this is going to be embarrassing for Andy that he's got some shit seat. And like, there I am with like the band's girlfriends, okay? We walk in, okay? The two security guys now who have big spotlights, and they're going like this. And they go, ma'am, do you see them? And I'm like, do I see them? They thought I was a mom there to pick up her teenage kids.
No! Oh my God!
And there's there's Andy like in a mosh pit punching someone in the face, and he's like, "Steph, is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, and he was just like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I think I love you." Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes, and he's like, "Well, you look like a total loser here," but yeah, and then we got together, we got married.
What? Wasn't he like, "I love you too"?
Yes, actually, I was the first one to say I love you, and he responded with, "I'm close."
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm almost there. And then eventually he got there. But he's so cold. Not cold in a bad way.
Right.
I remember, I was only 24. We moved in pretty quickly. So I
What
went
did Louise say about the moving in?
She didn't want me to move in with him, but she sure liked Andy.
Yeah.
I went away for Memorial Day weekend with a bunch of girlfriends. That weekend, he went and saw my parents and said, "I'm going to ask Stephanie to marry me this summer." So they're like, "Great, done, set." I land in New York, and I call my mother and father, and I said, "Can you guys meet me for dinner? I need to talk to you." And they're like, "Great, we'll meet you." I meet them for dinner, and I'm like, "You know what? I got to break up with Andy. I'm only 24. I need to sow my wild oats. I need to have more life experiences. I need to date other guys." They are panic stricken, and there's my father like, "You do not need to date any other guys. Our house has been, my front door has been like a revolving door. Do you want to know how many, blah, blah, blah," screaming, yelling, like basically listing all the guys I've hooked up with, met, dated, and I'm like, "God, you two relax." I come back to the city. I said, "Listen, I like you. I love you and everything, but like, I'm young. I got to do my thing. I want to move out." He says, "Okay." He's like, "Where are you going to go?" I'm like, "Oh, a friend of mine, da-da-da." And he's like, "Good luck. Hope it all works out." And he's like, we can still date, but if you want to move out, move out." And of course, I'm like, "Shit, I'm not moving out." And I never left. And then we got engaged, and that was it. Yeah.
That's so
But he's
funny.
he's such an assassin.
Right.
That if you try to push him, he's like, "Oh, you want out? No sweat.
Okay,
There's the
take
door.
care.
Yeah, here you
Take
go."
care.
Yeah.
Hey everyone. Everyone seems to be, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed everyone's on a weight loss kick now. But most weight loss plans are one size fits all, right? And there's a company called Noom, Noom, which actually builds personal plans that meet individuals' needs because people are overweight for different reasons. A lot of them are psychological. A lot of people have dietary restrictions, medical issues, and your biology. And that's why I love Noom, because Noom takes into consideration all of this. It is like a personalized weight loss system that meets your lifestyle. It doesn't restrict you. You don't feel shame. One of my friends lost so much weight on this, and his life has completely changed. And swears by it. He swears by it. So Noom uses psychology because losing weight really does start with your brain. And as someone who has struggled with weight my entire life, I know there's biological factors that affect weight loss. And this program helps you understand. That's what it's all about, understanding the science and psychology behind your eating choices and why you have cravings. It's time to get healthy. We know the effects of being overweight now. We know so much more, and everyone's journey is different. So that's why you need Noom. It's flexible. It focuses on progress. Noom will help you lose weight while still enjoying your favorite foods. And FYI, active first-time Noom users lose an average of 15 pounds in 15 weeks, and 95% of customers say Noom is a good long-term solution. And Noom is grounded in science, and I believe in science. So what are you going to do? You're going to stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. And based on a 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information. That is Noom.com.
You then get involved with the White House Project.
This is a cool story.
Yeah, I love this.
Okay.
And this is what got you
Into TV.
into TV, yeah.
So I was always interested in TV, right? Since I was little.
Right.
All I wanted to do was work in TV.
Did
but
you do things as a little girl like...
My entire life was like every TV commercial I was making every Saturday. My sister and I spent all Saturday in our youth making costumes. And because she was 5 years older, she could be the man and I could be the girl. We would watch Dance Fever and then Solid Gold. And then we would perform our own routines
Right.
for all my parents' friends who were over our house playing pinochle.
Right.
Like that was my Saturday night for 6 years
Here's
of my
my
life.
version of that.
Give it.
I was very popular, as I mentioned, and
And tall.
I would go in the bathroom upstairs, sit on the toilet, and make believe like the sink vanity was my guest on my talk show. I swear to God. And I would sit in there for hours and be like, and how'd you get into acting? And I swear to God, it was.
But don't you love that?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm in a fucking bathroom
That's okay.
in
It's
Clark,
okay.
New
Yes.
Jersey, making believe I have a guest on my talk
And
show.
look where you are now. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did always want to work in TV.
Yeah.
And before the White House project, I'll give you a quick aside. I'm 26 years old. I'm leaving Credit Suisse to go work at Deutsche Bank. And I'm getting this a much bigger job than I ever thought I would get. And I'm at the lawyer's office. I just signed the contract. And I called my parents and I said, I'm going to work at Deutsche Bank, blah, blah, blah. And my father said, yeah, that's great, but it's just money. It's not your dream. And somehow my mother and father heard on a radio station that the next day there was an open call for somebody to fill in for Kelly Ripa
No
while she
way.
was on maternity leave.
No way.
I think it was only for like a week maybe.
Right.
But, and my father said, it's your dream to do that, and the audition is tomorrow. So I walk out of the lawyer's office, I call Deutsche Bank, and I said, I can't quit tomorrow, I need an extra day. And they said, okay. I go to bed, Andy and I wait. Andy goes to Bed Bath & Beyond and buys 2 folding chairs. We show up at ABC Studios at 1 a.m. We get in line for 6 hours. Andy's like buying coffee and hot chocolate for everybody in line. I go, I audition, and I made it to the finals.
No way.
So I have to tell Deutsche, because they make you sign a contract that says, like, if you get picked, you have to commit to this. So I call Deutsche Bank. I'm like, I know you just gave me this big job. There's an outside chance I'm not showing up, or at least for an extra month. And they're like, this is so crazy, but we were already hiring you because you're an out there person. Go for it. So I have to make like a crazy audition tape, which I pray never, ever, ever sees the light of day. I mean,
we gotta find that.
It's so horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. So I make it to the finals. I send the tape in, and then I was in the top 5, but I didn't win. And that was it. And then I kind of.
But that definitely did.
But it was
yeah.
always just in that, like, I want to do that thing.
Right.
But people don't pursue their dreams when they have a day job. And it's also a really hard industry to get into. And I almost went to journalism school. And a guy who went on to run Credit Suisse was like, you should not go to journalism school. He's like, journalists don't get jobs in New York right away. TV journalists don't. And your sensibility will not work in
Right.
Tuscaloosa. And he's right. And he said, stay doing this. Who knows? This is a great business for you. It's a great business for women, blah, blah, blah. And I used to do a little bit of TV as a guest. I used to do a little bit of CNBC, but not that much.
Right.
And one day, there used to be a nonprofit called the White House Project, and it wasn't even a political group. It was just a group focused on women getting to the top of their fields. And I was given like a speech, because I spent a lot of time in banking trying to get women to go into banking.
Right.
Because it's crazy that the highest paid industries, it's just the same people that end up in them, right?
Right.
So if you're somebody like my husband, right, who goes to a fancy prep school and who goes to Princeton and plays lacrosse, there's a direct pipeline for you to get a big job in banking. And I don't begrudge that network. I just want to recreate it. I just want other people to have it too. Like, I think it's great. Like, he's a 52-year-old guy who to this day is going to be on the phone with 22-year-old boys at Princeton explaining how derivatives work to them.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I just want to have that. And so I used to do a lot of public speaking to try to get women to go into banking, because it's an industry that pays really well, right? Like, I'm not saying money makes you happy, but money gives you more freedom. And the one thing that my mother and grandmother always said to me was, never rely on getting your money from the person you share a bed with, because it's hard enough to sleep with them. And
Oh my God, they're so forward thinking.
Totally. And it's so true, right? Like, the person who controls the money is the boss. I remember years ago, my daughter, I was asking all my kids, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it was after I worked in TV, and she's like, I want to do what daddy does. And I said, you don't want to work in TV? And she said, no, I want to have the money. And I said, how do you know I don't have the money? And it's because she always sees him paying. She sees him driving. She sees him unlocking the door because I'm lazy, not because I don't make it. But and so I just think it's so important. I just want girls to get jobs that pay more.
When I was researching you, 100%. It made me think that, you're so unusual because you were working in banking and you're female, which is one whole thing. And you are such an advocate. I have a quote here. I fully believe our financial health is part of our overall health and wellness, and we should have a better understanding.
Yes.
Right. And you talked about in an article I read that women will talk about everything. Their vaginas, their,
everything.
Everything.
That you would
But
say, can you
except
come to the
for
bathroom
money.
with me and look at this boil between my butt cheeks?
Right.
But you won't say, I'm in 30 grand credit card debt and I don't know what to do. Like, we have to change that.
Do you think this is well, I'm sure it is, a direct result, and the fact that you went into this, and it wasn't soon, wasn't that far after this, 1974 is when women could get a credit card. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, I was almost a teenager when women could get mortgages. They had to have the husband sign everything. I mean, it's unbelievable, and
because people our age grew up seeing it. Like, I remember being 5, sitting next to my mother in the car as she dropped my father at the train station to go to work.
Right.
And I carry an enormous amount of guilt that I didn't treat my mother well enough. My mother, who devoted her entire life to us, I didn't treat her well enough because I didn't respect the fact that she didn't make her own money, and I couldn't understand why she didn't. I couldn't understand why does that guy get to be the boss? Like, you're so smart, you're so fantastic.
Right.
And I mean, she was the head of the Board of Education where I live. She ran the PTA. She did all these things, but these things that didn't pay her money.
Right.
And I just remember feeling like she's lucky that he's not a jerk. And I can remember in the 80s and 90s living in a town where tons of moms of my friends had like the worst husbands, and they were trapped. And I just didn't want to be. And it wasn't that I loved finance. I just wanted to live in New York City and have my own damn money. And I want that for other women. And I want them to understand finance. Like, how many of your friends are like, I have no money to get my eggs frozen, and I'm carrying a $10,000 purse.
Right.
And I'm like, please stop doing that, because we have so many education opportunities and so many career opportunities, but our bodies haven't changed. And the fact of the matter is, our eggs are the most fertile when we're 21. And so I just want us to acknowledge, if we're not getting pregnant when we're 21, and I don't want us to, just think about this and think about your money and think about freezing those eggs, and don't put all your eggs in, well, I don't have any money, but hopefully I'm going to meet a guy who's going to solve my problems. He's not. And by the way, if you go into a relationship where you need him to solve your problems, he is now your boss.
That's right. That's right. So smart. It is so smart. I was having dinner last night, and there was another comic there, and he has a great job, I think, in finance. He went to Cornell. And I said to him, when are you going to give it up? When are you going to be a comic? Like, you're not a full, and I know.
He's ashamed. He's embarrassed. He doesn't know how.
No, he said, I just have this opportunity where I'm going to make a lot of money in the next 2 years. And so maybe after that. And then I sent him, you were interviewed for a magazine, and I sent this whole paragraph to him where you said, make sure, because you didn't make the shift until you knew that you were financially secure.
Correct.
And I said, just read this. I thought you would enjoy
but
it.
I do think everything is risk management, except you don't control time, you don't control your health, and you don't control the weather. Those 3 things have to be honored. Everything else you can risk manage. So I'm at the White House Project. Sorry, I'm giving this speech, and after, the woman who ran it was this woman named Tiffany DeFoo. And she said, women and minorities always get lumped together. But if you take the 50 most powerful black men in the United States, they do way more for each other than the 50 most powerful women. Okay? And women are sort of full of shit.
Same as comedians.
Correct.
The male comedians take care of the male comedians all the time. They get more opportunities.
Totally.
Right.
And women are somewhat full of it that we're in this, like, we're all sisters. We're not all sisters. Like, I want to believe that. And, like, I'm a real one and I'm a real friend. But, like, I've definitely had more women stab me in the back than I have men.
Oh, 100%.
And
it's the way they set it up.
Yes, but in a post-Me Too world, it's like we're not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that, right? It's okay that, I want every woman to have an opportunity. I want every woman to tell her story. I want everyone to be treated equally. But it does not mean that every woman is my sister and we all have each other's backs,
right.
because we've definitely, terrible things have happened. So anyway, she said, if you take the 50 most powerful black men, they are focused on getting one another book deals, media deals, opportunities. She goes, women, we're not out to get one another, but we're not thinking about it yet. And she said, each one of you has to say what you want to do next, and someone else has to want to get you there. And I wanted to say TV, but I remembered back when I had auditioned for the Kelly Ripa thing, people I know people crushed me. They made fun of me. Like, they made such an ass of me. They made me look like such a moron. Because also, in finance, it's like a diamond-encrusted gerbil wheel, right? It's a miserable job that pays you a lot of money, but you live an expensive life, so you need the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that guy in finance, he might live a fancier life than everybody around him, but he might make more money, but he lives an expensive life. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I said, I want to work in the media. And there was a woman there. It was after the financial crisis. And I said, God, like, we've done the worst job. Like, finance actually pays for the American dream. It's what makes this country run. And we've done a terrible job telling those stories. And there was a woman there who ran human resources for Bloomberg. And she said, it's me. I'm going to get you there. And the next day, she introduced me to a guy named Andy Lack, who ran Bloomberg Media. And Andy said, in the new world of TV, there's no more TV presenters. There's no more, like, teleprompter readers. He said, you have to know the content, love the content, and the audience has to want to have a relationship with you. And I said, I have number 1 and 2 better than anybody else who works here. Number 3 is a roll of the dice.
Right.
And I said, so I'll make you a deal. You can hire me for $0 or the lowest amount of money of anybody who works here and no contract, so you can fire me at any time. But in exchange, you have to hire someone to teach me how to be on television, and you have to give me a show to anchor.
What?
And they said yes.
That is unbelievable.
Because everything's risk management, right?
And also, look at you.
But no,
All
thank
right,
you.
but,
Everything's risk management, right?
Right.
So it wasn't going to cost him it, right?
Right.
So for me to change careers, people always think also changing careers means you're going to make the same amount of money. It's not. You're starting over.
Right.
So I knew I was going to take a 90% pay cut no matter what. And that's funny because, like, when I talk to women in finance now and they're like, oh, I want to make the move. And I'm like, okay, great. It's a 90% pay cut. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, that's the starting over part. The starting over. Yeah.
Right.
And so I said, it'll cost you nothing. And if I stink, you can get rid of me. But for me, you're also making a risky decision and an irresponsible one to your family. If I were to have left banking, gone to work at Bloomberg, and they never would have put me on air.
Right.
If I would have just sat in a newsroom, I would have been like, I cannot believe.
And you would have been dejected and felt like,
dejected, and they would have, and like, trust me, when I left banking originally, I'm sure they all made fun of me, like, what a loser, what an idiot, what a moron she is. And then so far, knock on wood.
They're not saying that anymore, baby.
Thank you.
Dear old work platform, it's not you, it's us. Actually, it is you. Endless onboarding? Constant IT bottlenecks? We've had enough. We need a platform that just gets us. And to be honest, we've met someone new. They're called Monday.com, and it was love at first onboarding. Their beautiful dashboards, their customizable workflows got us floating on a digital cloud 9. So no hard feelings, but we're moving on. Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
All right, your journalistic style is so relatable because, I was a producer and writer on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and I feel like the reason that show was such a phenomenon is because she was a fan. She was like the people who were watching.
Yeah.
You are exactly like that. You say, let's get smarter. Every night, you're like, explain this to me. Why is this? It is exactly what people need. And I mean, I've seen you cry on the air. You're so present. I mean, and I was serious when I introduced you and I said, you are the best listener. You actively listen. And I read this, that you had said the most powerful thing you can do is listen. As soon as you start speaking, you are losing power. You're giving away your goods.
Yeah.
And it's so true because you can, I mean, you're taking all that information in with us. Every other time I'm like watching people and they're like, you know, the guy's talking and they're like this, you know, and
Well, that's also
yeah.
rude to do to your guest, and your guest knows it.
Right.
And they know you're not listening to them. But I just think I don't have any background in politics, right? So when I went and I worked at Bloomberg TV, it was I'm not gonna say it was an easy transition, but it was easy because the whole game is know your audience. And
Right.
at Bloomberg, I was the audience for all those years.
Right.
So it was very easy. And then all the big guests that in business TV, the whole hustle is getting big guests. And it was easy for me to book guests
Who was
because I
your
knew
first?
everybody. It was I'll tell this one really quick. My first day at Bloomberg, the one thing I knew about TV was if you book the guest, you get to do the interview.
right.
So the weekend before I started, I'm on an email with like everybody from the show that I was going to be on, and there was some big thing happened that like an entire team quit UBS, the bank, like 70 people quit on a Friday and blah, 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 blah. And I'm on the email and they were like, we need to get like a really big headhunter that knows exactly how this happened. And so I'm like, you want this woman? And they're like, oh my God, yes. So I'm like, okay, great. So I booked her. So Monday comes and I show up to Bloomberg at like 5 a.m. and I can't get in the building. And they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, the show starts at 6. Like, and they were like, oh, you have to do HR training. But I'm like, well, I'll do HR training tomorrow. I'm like, I booked that guest. Don't I have to do the interview? And they're like, you're not going to do the interview. I'm like, oh, well, then they're not going to come on. And so my first day.
That's right.
And so I learned like that's the hustle. So that's why Bloomberg was much easier for me because I was native to that.
Right.
I left Bloomberg because Andy Lack, the guy who ran Bloomberg TV, came to take over NBC. So he said, come to NBC, and I was, for my first 6 months, the weekend anchor of the Today Show and an anchor on MSNBC. And I had zero background in politics. I didn't know anything about it. In fact, when I worked at Bloomberg and I would occasionally have to interview a lawmaker, I could never remember. People who cover politics would be so mortified. I could never remember if somebody was a congressperson or a senator. So I would just call them by their first name,
Oh
which
my
is even
God,
ruder.
that's
Like
so
the
bad.
only thing ruder is saying, "Hey, John," and
Yeah.
as their chief of staff, it's like, "I've never called them John,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Well, it's better than me getting their title wrong. I don't know what it is." So I came, and for my first 6 months, I was co-anchoring the Weekend Today Show and doing MS, and then lo and behold, Trump became the nominee.
Oh, God. What a
But
great day
it was.
that
But it
was.
was a weird advantage for me because everybody covered, all these people covered politics forever and ever, and I was the only one who knew him.
Right.
So MSNBC, right? So like I knew his economic advice. I knew all these people on his team. I knew Jared. I knew Ivanka. I knew Trump for years, and so it was sort of like I had this weird advantage. And so I ended up leaving, doing Weekend Today because I'm like I'm working around the clock covering the Trumpster, and. That's sort of how that happened. And then I started to do, I became the business analyst for NBC News, which was in some ways a huge joy for me because doing that during COVID goes back to people not understanding finance. And during COVID, almost every day, we were just doing videos for people of explaining, here's how to get your Social Security check. Here's what to do with your stimulus checks. And when you can help people understand something, like almost by design,
Right.
finance is a foreign language, and it shouldn't be. We need people to have a financial education. If you talk about racial and sexual disparity, so much of that is we don't teach finance in schools. We don't even teach home ec in
It's so
school.
bad.
We
My
don't
kids
even teach.
don't know. I'm like, this is how you write a check. This is how you do automatic billing. I had to.
Yes, and if they didn't grow up in a household with you, they wouldn't have any of those skills.
Right.
And so they're now bringing personal finance back to high schools. I just did an event
So
with a bunch of
important.
personal finance teachers, but here's the most painful truth I heard. It's not in the core curriculum, it's an elective. And all these teachers said we're having a really hard time getting kids to sign up. I'm like, really? Why wouldn't they sign up? And they said, because all these boys in high school are saying, I don't need to study personal finance. I'm going to trade crypto.
Oh.
And are you ready for what the girls are saying?
What?
You ready? I have $5,000 of free makeup in my room. I'm going to be an Instagram influencer.
Oh my God, it's so awful.
It's
so
so
terrible.
awful. Yes.
It's terrible.
Yes. Yes.
As a comedian and an advocate for free speech, I am so worried about journalists.
Me too.
I think about it all the time. I think about how Trump has put them in very unsafe situations. I fear for their safety. I'm just so in a panic about it. And I don't know, how do you feel? How do you deal with this misinformation, disinformation? Look at the shakeups. Andrea Mitchell, bye-bye. Jim Acosta, bye-bye. Lester Holt, bye-bye. Like,
Okay, but that's also, those are also people retired.
No, but I'm just saying, a lot of, it's been a lot of.
Listen, there's two things. The media industry is being shaken up right now,
Right.
right? That and Trump are two different things. Our industry is being shaken up. People consume their content in different ways. But journalism is more important than ever.
Right.
It is very, very scary, the amount of misinformation that's out there, because while we're going through a shakeup, you have an administration and you have an Elon Musk who are determined to destroy the media and convince you every day, forget the media, forget the legacy media. And what my call to action would be is not saying you need to go out there and protest or do this. My plea is just don't disconnect. Right? Lots of people are like, I can't watch the news anymore.
I
can't
know.
read it.
You
It's too
have to
upsetting.
then find
But I'm
another
saying-
way to get the
and
news.
I'm saying you don't need to watch me. If I'm not your style, don't watch me. But I'm begging you, please, when you're mad at the Washington Post because of Jeff Bezos, do not cancel your subscription.
Right.
We need, the last line of defense is people who are holding power to account. And I'm telling you, in the last 4 weeks, every day someone will send me an Elon Musk tweet like, is it true that we're spending $50 million sending condoms to Gaza? No, it's not true. No, it is not true. And so I just think journalism is super important. I would say one, I'm not going to say positive because I want to be careful, but because we are under attack in the way that we are, it's forcing us, which is good, to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And we need that, right? Like sometimes lots of us can get carried away, especially in the first Trump administration that was like, yeah, that's definitely a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Listen, the idea of Doge, the idea is not a bad idea.
Right.
Right? We do need to more closely examine waste and fraud. Even the fact that, listen, I like that they're trying to fire all these federal employees, but they can't. But we should have a government that if you want to get rid of people, you can. Like the way the government is so insular, it is filled with bureaucrats that are like, you'll never get me out of here. It should be shaken up. But if it's going to be shaken up, the American people deserve transparency, and we can demand it every single day. And I would just say this. Yes, we're under attack, but we will be under attack more, or the attack will be successful if we lose our readers and our audience, right? Like it's always a 1-2.
Right.
Like so it's
right,
really
I'm gonna-
easy for them to say the media's dead, you're a bunch of
Yeah.
losers and liars when nobody's reading or nobody's tuning in. But if we have that audience and we have those readers, and I just want people to be informed and engaged. If you're informed and engaged and you choose to support the president or this or that, that's great. That's part of democracy.
Right.
My fear is democracy will die if all of these educated people decide to tune out because it's just too much. That's a no.
I agree. All right, we have to go, but this is my favorite quote of yours. I think
I've
there's
done worse for less. That's my motto.
No. Huffman Coos. Okay. I think there's a difference between having a point of view and a deep opinion. I have many points of view, but I'm open to changing them. So fucking smart. It is.
Thank you. But that's how we should live. We shouldn't live in a way that we have such deep ideology. I mean, I
Right.
guess, you can have an ideology that's connected to the love of your family or your religion. But for the most part, shouldn't we have open minds and open hearts and be open to change? I think so.
And you've made it, Steph, because they parodied you on SNL. It was so good.
And so accurate.
I know, I loved it. Stephanie,
Thank you.
first of all, thank you all for
Thank
coming
you
out.
so much.
How great is she? You are so impactful and just I know this is poo, but you are going to have such a legacy because you're so unique and smart and just so communicative. And I think you are fucking great. Thank you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you. I am. First of all, my mother has been a Judy Gold fan like my whole entire life, and then the fact that I got to meet her in my life, Louise Ruhle can't even believe it, and I'm so privileged to be here
Louise
tonight.
Ruhle.
She's amazing. Thank you all so
right.
much. I'm so honored.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of my interview with the one and only Stephanie Ruhle. This podcast is produced by Laura Vogel, edited by Colin Schmaling, marketed by Hallie Dercher, and the theme song is written by the one and only Lauren Gold, who is just the best. Please subscribe and leave a review. Please, please, please. Also, thank you so much for listening. Thank you all. Please follow me on the Instagram, the Blue Sky, the whatever. I'm so fucking sick of I have to post and then it has to go on other things and it's just so fucking confusing and it's I just want to say a congratulations to I should have said this in the beginning that my son Ben finished his college basketball career this past Saturday. And it was my honor and my pleasure and a joy to watch him play basketball through all his years of schooling. And I'm so proud of him. And he received an all-academic award, 3.91 average. It's either 3.91 or 3.93, but it doesn't matter. So I'm so proud of him. And I'm so proud of my other son, Henry. He's such a good kid. And he works with kids with behavioral problems, and I'm just so lucky. And I just want to say that I have 2 great sons. I have a great girlfriend, Elisa. I'm lucky. I'm being positive, and it's not working for me really, but yeah, I'm proud of my family. And so there, I'm ending on a positive note. There you go. So just, we're going to get through all this shit and be thankful for what you have, and thank you for listening, by the way. And as we always say, so long.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.